as you guys can see, Sandy has pulled up to the garage here. If you've been around a while, you know I drove this truck back from Florida a few months ago. Probably a couple months ago. So underneath, completely rust-free. This thing is spotless. On top, we got some sun damage to deal with. I don't know how well you can see it there in the camera, but this hood has a fair amount of sun damage. It's pretty much the same up top on the roof. And then we've got a little bit, along the top of the fender. This fender's pretty good. The one on the other side's got some sun damage. And then along the top of the doors, there's some spots we got to deal with here, right? Now, it's not through the base coat. It's only through the top coat. If you look close here, you can see along the edges of this clear, you can see the line, the change in color here. There's some dead clear coat that's rough to the touch. And we need to take some sandpaper and we need to kind of feather that in. And then what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to hit it with this 2K clear and see if maybe we can make this all look uniform again. I'm kind of hoping this base coat will come back to this color once we clear coat it. And that's going to take a little bit of work to get to there. So we got some 2000 grit and we got some 1000 grit. I'm going to use the 1000 grit to try to take off this dead clear that's here and feather this back in very carefully without going through the base coat. That's the plan anyways. And then with the 2000, I'm going to try to just very lightly scuff the base to kind of get some of whatever the dead paint is off of the base that's here. And then, again, kind of feather this clear in. And hopefully, once we get that done, we get it good and clean. Well, I'm going to have to clean it really good before we start, then sand it. And then after all that, we'll clean it again real good. And then we'll hit it with this 2K clear. We're just going to do the hood for now. I got a bunch of stuff I got to clean off of this hood. Drips of sap and other things that have dripped all over this thing that we got to get off before we even start sanding. And then after all of that process, we'll put some clear on it. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this hood comes back to look as good as this fender. And if that works, well, I'll have to find time to do the rest of the truck that's sun damaged. But we're just going to start with the hood. And let's see if we can save this hood. All right, so right here, the sound on the video decided that it just wasn't going to work for some reason. Not sure. I'm showing you the GRR Certified Labs heavy-duty wash and degreaser. Stuff's pretty awesome. Comes from my sponsor. You can get it at certifiedlabs.com. And then I set this down and I pick up the can of Prep-All to show you that. That's another degreaser that you use before you sand or paint. It's a product you can get it at any paint store. I don't know what I'm talking about here. I'm rambling about something. And then in a second here, I'm going to set this down and I'm going to pick up my bucket of water. That's got a couple drops of Dawn dish soap in it. What, am I going to pick it up? What are we doing here? I'm rambling, talking about something. I don't know, because it didn't record. All right, yeah, bucket of water. Okay, it's got a couple small drops of Dawn dish soap in it. Yep, all right, great. And I have a sanding block with some 1000 grit on it. Okay, yeah, good times. Throw a little water on there, get it lubed up good, and I start sanding here. And pretty quickly while I'm doing this, I start to realize that this is not going to go well. I actually start rambling about other stuff, and I pretty quickly realize that the base coat's way too thin, and I start cutting through the base coat and creating a mess. See, I'm noticing it, that we're having a problem here. It's cutting through the base coat. I'm not even pushing down that hard. It's not going to work. We're going to have a problem here. So today is technically the day that I upload the video to YouTube, and I went in to check my my video in the editor before uploading it. And as you saw, the video, there was no sound on that day. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the receiver wasn't plugged into the phone all the way, but there was like 4 chunks of video on that day that didn't have sound. So I went in and I dubbed over those, because I can do that with my editor, which you saw me speaking there for a second. And I started talking about what I was talking about while I was sanding. And what I was talking about was Jesus. Strangely enough, Out of all the overdubbing I did for the videos that had no sound, that one, that recording, over that chunk of video, was all static today when I went in to check it before downloading. That's weird. It didn't record the first day, and then when I re-recorded over it, the part where I talked about Jesus was all static. That's strange. But here I am. We're not giving up. I'm going to do it again. Basically, what I was saying was that you don't have to go to church to have a relationship with Jesus. Okay? You can still do your thing. Okay? I didn't grow up around church. At the church every week. I know some of you did. You probably went every single Sunday. Some of you probably went on Wednesdays. Some of you probably were hit and miss like me. I went a few times with my grandma and a few times with my Aunt Marion, and then, funerals, weddings, baptism, stuff like that. I was baptized as a child. I have godparents. Hey, Uncle Billy and Aunt Sherry. Love you guys. But it wasn't like an every week thing here. We weren't big into it. I didn't go to Bible study. I never had First Communion, none of that stuff. And then my wife is at the other, even further down, where she didn't really do it at all, other than, funerals and stuff like that, weddings. But they didn't really go to church. Religion was never a big part of, her family. And basically what happened, in the last few years, where the world's kind of gone to crap, and the mental health in this world has just plummeted. And it's bad everywhere, okay? It's not just here in the States. It's been pretty bad everywhere. We see it here because we live here. And my wife, at one point when things got bad, she asked me about, religion, church, whatever. And I explained to her, she had started to show interest in going to church. Recently I shared that she got baptized, her and the kids. That shows you how in tune we were with it. The kids weren't baptized when they were babies. They didn't get baptized until this year with my wife a few weeks ago. And when she asked me, I said, I have a relationship with God. I have a relationship with Jesus. Really, right in the middle of my recording, it decided to tell me that my phone storage was full. It really doesn't want me to talk about this for some reason. Yahweh? Yeah, God? Anyways, I've always had a relationship. I've always talked to Jesus he was in the room. Kind of like I always had a relationship with him. So when she asked, that's what I told her. So I never felt like I really needed to go to church. I talk to Jesus all the time, and I have a relationship with him, and I follow a good moral code. I believe in being a good person. Listen, we all sin. None of us are perfect. So if you're standing there thinking, I'm not worthy, I've done all this bad stuff, that's not true. Totally not true. Forgiveness is a big part of it. So, try talking to Jesus, okay? Just talk to him. Believe it, don't believe it. Eventually you need to believe that Jesus is your Savior, okay? That's the ticket, okay? You have to understand that he's your Savior. You have to believe that he's the right hand of God, Yahweh's right hand man. So, but talk to him. Pray a little bit. If you're on the fence, there's a very, very strong spiritual pull toward Jesus right now. And if you have any intuition at all, you can feel it. You know what I'm talking about, all right? I've always had a very strong intuition, always. And there were times in my teens and 20s where I ignored that intuition. That never turned out in my favor. Nope. Mistakes were made. Like I said, I'm not perfect, okay? This job on this video that you're watching is not going to go perfect. Like I said, just now, right before this popped up, we sanded through the base coat. So yeah, there's already imperfections, okay? But at the end of this, you're going to see that it turns out pretty decent. It looks pretty good. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Hopefully, when I go to upload this, we don't have some weird freak thing where this chunk of video disappears or doesn't have sound. Wouldn't that be ridiculous? Anyways, since it didn't want me to talk to you about that, I did it anyway, and I broke into the video and did it with a video of me looking absolutely disheveled. I've been sweating all day at work, but it's still important. We're still going to do it. Yep. So enjoy the rest of the video. Where are we going here? I think we're going to talk about the brass brush or something next. I guess you're going to find out. So I give up on the block. I reach in the bucket and grab just a regular piece of sandpaper here, and I'm still attempting to try and feather in some of that clear coat here, and it's still not going to go well. I keep at it here for a minute, but it is not going to work. The whole sandpaper idea of trying to feather in these little spikes of clear that still exist on the hood into that base coat, just the base coat's way too thin, and it's not going to happen. Anyways, I switched camera views here to kind of show you what we're working with, and you can see here where I sanded through the base coat in a few spots. We got some dark spots here, and it's, yeah, not great. We definitely made some damage. There's a scratch there that goes all the way through the base coat. And you can see here, like, there's pock marks and scratches and stuff in the clear coat, and it's, like, really dark. As I was sanding, it was, like, balling up. You can kind of see it there a little bit laying on the hood, rolling up, because there's, like, a dirt or, like, sap or something is in the nooks and crannies and scratches of the clear coat there. That black, looks speckled there, black stuff. And I grabbed this wire brush to try to see if I can work that stuff out of the clear coat. And you can see me kind of working it here, and it starts to disappear. That black stuff kind of comes out of the clear coat, and all you've got is the base coat underneath those pock marks and scratches. And that black stuff is, you can see it working up there and kind of balling up, little rolling onto the hood there, little, like, looks like rolled up paper towel, but that's the stuff that came out of those nooks and crannies. Yeah, you can see it there. This is just a time lapse of me working at it. I found when I added the water that I was using for the wet sanding to lubricate it a little bit, it worked significantly better, and you can see that black stuff is coming right off, and all you've got is the clear coat and the base coat underneath it. Yeah, it works quite well, actually. Here, I'm just talking about how I'm using a circular motion to kind of work it. I wasn't pushing down real hard, but like where the scratches were, I would kind of drag it along the scratch to try to work the stuff up out of the scratch. And at one point, I actually used a little extra soap. It seemed to help with the lubrication. I didn't want to push down real hard, but it was working really good at getting that gunk up out of the clear coat, and it was also knocking any loose flakes of clear coat away. So where the sanding, I was trying to do that with the sandpaper and it wasn't really working, this little brass brush, which came from Harbor Freight in one of their wire brush sets. Originally, I was looking for like a heavy nylon brush. I don't know where my heavy nylon brush was, but I found that brass brush, and it worked exceptionally well. I even used it on the actual base coat to kind of scuff the base coat up and get some gunk and stuff off of that and clean that surface as well instead of hitting it with like the 2000 grit sandpaper. I do come back with the 2000 grit after this, and I sand all of the good clear coat around the sides and the front of the hood to get all that scuffed good, because you do have to scuff that so that the clear coat will stick to it. As you can see, we got some plastic pulled here. I've got the evacuation fan on to evacuate any fumes, because this is a two-part clear and you are not supposed to breathe this stuff in. I'm going to give the hood one quick wipe down again with some prep all, just to make sure there's no more dust or oily residues or anything on the hood before we get started here putting this clear on. In the video that I filmed yesterday, for some reason my microphone decided it wasn't going to work. Coincidentally enough, I was talking about Jesus, so a little weird that it decided it's not going to do what it's supposed to do. That's interesting. Needless to say, we don't give up that easy. I want this plastic over the hood here. I don't know what I said. I don't remember entirely what I said yesterday, because I went back to watch the video and realized that it didn't record the sound. But we were talking about how important your mental health is. We talk about that a lot on this channel. We talk about how bad that is in this country right now and all over the world, because it is not an America problem. This is happening all over the world. And there seems to be a pretty good pull towards Jesus, which is fantastic, I think, personally. But we also discussed talked about my relationship with Jesus. And I'll overdub that. Or at the point when you see this, I will have already dubbed over what didn't record. So I don't really need to go over it again. But one thing I didn't touch on yesterday was celebrities. A lot of people, for some reason, idolize celebrities. And what I need to tell you here is they're just people, just like you and me. You don't want to idolize these people. And a lot of them are lost souls. So do not idolize celebrities. They're just people. Okay? So this is the 2K Clear that I showed you. There's a little button on the bottom here. And when you depress this button, it releases the second part into this, the hardener. So to make this a pretty good clear, there's directions on the back of it. Shake for 2 minutes. I'm going to read the directions. Once activated, pot life is 48 hours. To be used within 36 months from the date of manufacture. Oh, the little red thing on the top of the cap is what you're supposed to use to puncture it. I don't know what I did with the cap. I literally just took it off. Oh. Good move, Brad. What did I do with it? Oh, I got a second can. I'm sure it's literally sitting right in front of my face here someplace. It's literally right under the camera. Anyways, this little red thing is what you're supposed to use on the bottom to depress the two-part. So, shake for 2 minutes. Whack the bottom to click the two-part. And then shake for another 2 minutes. And then spray 10 inches away. Okay? So that's what we're going to get done here in a minute. Yeah. I got so flustered watching the video that I forgot all my thoughts in church this morning. Because I did go with the wifey this morning to service, and the pastor had some good things to say, and maybe I will remember by the time we come back to us being done clearing this. I'm going to put a regular dust mask on while I spray this, because you are not supposed to breathe this stuff in. I've got the evacuation fan going here that's going to pull most of this stuff outside. If you can see it, there's a hose that comes off the back of this thing. It goes out the door. And I got it stuffed in a tire out there so that this overspray doesn't go all over the vehicles parked outside. So it's just kind of directed right at the ground. This will pull, you might not be able to see it on camera, this will pull a lot of this, the fumes and stuff, away from us and out the door, which should protect anything I don't have covered with plastic from getting overspray all over it. Hopefully. That's the plan anyways. So I'm going to crack this thing and shake, 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 and get started on this. I will turn the time lapse on because you don't really need to see me shake, shake, shake. Even if you want to, I'm not going to show you. I'll time lapse it so you can watch me spray this clear on here, and then we will come back when it's dry and see what it looks like. I think pretty quickly when I start spraying here, you're going to notice how much better this hood looks. While I'm out here working on my hood, my daughter's in here sewing a patch in my seat. I had a little hole in there, and
I'm using a chicken fabric.
It's
my favorite.
She likes sewing, so I asked her if she would sew a patch in my seat, and she chose chicken fabric. She wanted to put a chicken on my seat, so there's a chicken. I can't see it because of the sun. There's a chicken on my seat. She's sewing me up a patch so the foam stops tearing out of there. All right, y'all. We're looking at it's been a few hours later. I didn't do the roof yet, obviously. But there's the hood. Now, we're a few feet away now. And you can see it looks pretty dang good. It looks a hell of a lot better than it did. But if you get up close to it, you can still see the ripples, some of the scratches and stuff from the sun damage. But, I mean, it looks, there's where I sanded through the base coat. It looks significantly better than it did. Like, a lot better. And it's protected now. It's got some clear on it to protect it from the weather, from the salt that's going to happen up here in New York. But it looks way better than it did, in my opinion. Now, it's not perfect, but it was never going to be perfect. We weren't going for that. If I wanted it to be perfect, I would have sanded it all the way down, sprayed some base on it, and then re-cleared it. But then, you know, you got the rest of the truck. I mean, already this clear is significantly more shiny than this clear, just because it's fresh. And I could probably wax this and get it to look pretty good, but it'd probably never be like that. But, hey, we were just trying to make it look better than it did. And I think we succeeded in making it look way better than it did. That is significantly better than it looked like before, even with that spot that I sanded through in the middle there. That looks terrible. But, hey, we can always be better, right? You can always do better. You know? It's like I was saying before. Jesus loves you, even with your flaws. Just like this hood. Just because it's flawed doesn't make it bad. It looks way better. We can always do better. Can always be better. I'm going to call that a success for what I was trying to do. We were just trying to, you know, make it look better than it did and protect it from the salt and stuff that's going to happen here in New York. So, success. I managed to put 2 cans on there and not get any runs. That alone I'm going to call success. I was patient enough and waited between coats enough to get that on there. Now, I could hit this with some 2000 grit because you can kind of see there's a little orange peel and ripple in it. I could probably hit it with some 2000 grit and buff it, but I'm going to be honest here, what's the point? Because this is all rough from what was underneath it before. So it's not, I mean, you're only going to be able to do so much there. It's clear out of a rattle can. So yeah, we got a couple coats on there, but it's not super thick. There's not a lot of material there to sand and buff. And I mean, like I said before, it's not perfect. There's some spots I sanded through the base coat. There's some scratches that were already through the base coat. So there was only so much we were going to do here, but with what we had, I think we did pretty good. That brass brush worked really good at getting the dirt and junk out of the scratches and imperfections so that, you know, we could lay this clear over it and get some type of uniform color across there. I mean, that's pretty good. We got a lot of light in here. If I was to back this outside and stand 10 feet away from it, you wouldn't even be able to tell. It would look good. It'd look great from 10 feet away. So we're going to have to do the same thing to the roof. I wasn't sure how far 2 cans was going to go, and it took 2 cans to do that hood. So it's going to take all of 2 cans to do that roof. So I'm going to have to stop the auto parts store, grab a couple more cans. I should be able to do the roof. And after looking at it, you know, a little bit of the tops of the doors. I'm not sure how I'm going to tape that off exactly. I don't want to do the whole door. And then on the other side on the door, there's a spot down low that I showed in the video earlier that I'm going to have to address. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that either, but that's it for the sun damage, is the roof and that one spot on the other side. The other stuff I can probably just wax. This is faded, but it's not through the clear coat, so I can probably just hit this with some wax quick and bring some life and some protection back to that before we get to the salty weather that's going to be coming here very, very soon. I got to get some winter wheels. We don't have winter wheels. I got to get some for this because these big old 20s ain't going to work for the winter. They're wide, low profiles. I'm going to get some 15s or 16s, probably 16s with some actual winter tires before the snow falls. For sure. We're going to put these up for the winter. These nice chrome wheels are going to go up someplace, stick them in the storage unit or something with Ghost for the winter. And I'm probably going to take these chrome fender flares off as well because I'm just worried the salt and stuff's going to get behind them. And then we're going to have rust, and I don't want any rust. This truck's too nice. Got to protect it. We're going to undercoat it. Get these chrome fender flares off. I don't know. They kind of grew on me a little bit. When I first brought it back, I wasn't too sure, but I kind of like them. But if I take them off, I probably won't put them back on. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's a good idea to leave them on over the winter, though, for sure. So that's it. We put some clear on this hood. I mean, if I had gotten to this hood before it got that bad, say you live in a southern state and your hood or roof or whatever is just getting to that chalky phase where it's not all bumpy and, you know, pockmarked like this, you could definitely do a quick scuff and a clear and save that if you got to it before it got this bad. Like, there's almost no clear. That's like 10% of the clears left up there. Like 5% probably. That's pretty bad. So, it is what it is. What are we going to do next week? Oh, we're going racing next week. We got double duty racing next weekend. So we'll be back to racing videos next weekend. Yeah, so that's it for this week's videos. This week's videos. You mean video? Video. This week's video. Yeah, my hair is terrible. I need a haircut, something fierce. Got to do that this week for sure. That's bad. That's terrible. I had to go to work. I just got back. Yeah, that's it for this week. Love you guys. Jesus loves you. And I will catch you in the next one. Have a good one.